action in order for God to move like he want to move. I'm tired of churches and pastors with just lip service, coming to church just to get money and pay their bill. But I need a move from God. Look at somebody and tell your neighbor, I need a move from God. And I heard the Lord say that this is the hour that I shall show myself to those that will obey me, those that will love me, those that will keep my commandment. Ask your neighbor, do you love God? Do you love him enough to die to your flesh? Do you love him enough that even though you're going through, I still gotta pray? I don't complain about it no more, because I know that if he allowed me to go through it, surely he's gonna bring me up out of it. Look at somebody and tell your neighbor, you're coming out, neighbor. So now as we recognize the season that we are now in, that God is shifting us, that God is transferring us, that there is transformation in the spirit, that as my man of God goes through his affirmation, that this starts a new day and a new time. So now you've got to prepare your house. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, get your house prepared, get your house in order. Things that used to bother you shouldn't bother you right here. Things that used to move you shouldn't move you right here, because now I have my eyes on God. I have my mind on God. Am I talking to anybody that need a miracle in your life? Slap your neighbor high five and tell your neighbor, it's time to occupy. It's time to be all that God has called us to be. In John 15:7, it says, if he abide in me and my word abide in you, you shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. I'm looking for a church that will trust God right here, that will not lean to your own understanding, but in all thy ways I'm going to acknowledge him, and he will direct my path. I need you just for about 5 minutes to help me preach in this place, and I'll move on out your way. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, God is calling your name. He's calling you higher. But the question is, will you obey? Will you submit yourself and humble yourself and realize that God is up to something in your life? Slap your neighbor high five and tell your neighbor, you don't have time to fall by the wayside, because God is about to change your address in the spirit. He's about to change your DNA. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, excuse me, neighbor, the wind is blowing and the season is changing in my life, and I don't have time for foolishness. I don't have time for gossip in this house. All y'all looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. But look at somebody and tell your neighbor, get ready. God is about to do something new in your life. Is there anybody here that won't go to stretch out in you? Open up your mouth and tell your neighbor, You've been through the storm. You've been through the rain. You've been tested. When the devil said no, I still say yes. When the doctor said there might be, God said they're in there. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, occupy your blessing. Occupy your new thing. I never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. Whatever you need God to do, speak it out of your mouth, because it's in you. It's in you. It's in you. Whatever you desire for God to do is yours. Oh, Shema. Yebashi. Odiada. Yikiada. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, God is going to show himself in the next 30 days in your life. He's going to change some things. He's going to turn around some things. He's going to rebirth some things. Some things are going to be